All right, well, thank you, everybody. I'm Mike Walsh, and Pat Schaefer's over here. We're co-founders of DAMA-NYCR, New York Capital Region. And we're going to tell you a little bit about that. We're a startup company ourselves as we're continuing to grow. We're going to welcome all of you into our startup. We want you to become members of DAMA. And Billy is his title is everything, because Pat and I are quite busy. And Billy really runs the show here. So we're happy that he's here and helping us through the process. So let me tell you a little bit about DAMA. First of all, data as a profession. So, we've talked a little bit about data. Everybody's connected with data, and I'm going to talk a little bit about it just to set us up. But we have some startups here that all use data. And, data isn't what it used to be. I graduated with a master's in computer modeling and applied mathematics in '82, and it was pretty simple. I mean, we didn't even have, personal computers back then. We had mainframes, and the data was very structured, and it isn't as fluid as it is today. So things have changed, and we believe that, managing data is a profession, and we want to help professionalize it through our membership organization. So there's been a lot of growth, and I'm going to go through some of the slides on growth. So the first thing I want to do is many of the people in data have heard about the 4 V's of data. I'm going to go through the 4 V's of data. I made a 5th V, and so it's going to be the 5 V's and an M in my presentation. But the first one that I want to talk about is that, velocity. So everything's connected, right? Everyone's sharing data. We have networks connected. There's 18.9 billion network connections, averaging 2 to 5 connections on Earth. And we did a smart city project at Saratoga, and we were talking to the Skidmore folks, and they're saying their students are bringing 6 to 7 connected devices with them to school. So 2.5 is probably obsolete. And my car's out front there. It probably has 100 sensors on it. It has Wi-Fi in it. It has, it has 4 cameras on it. It's stay in lane control. It has everything you can imagine. And it's pushing all that data up to the cars and connected cars. There's 100 sensors, all creating data every day. So the velocity at which data shows up continues to grow. So that's the first V. The second V is the volume of data. And I remember the first time someone said, Mike, there's a terabyte of data. And we were like, terabyte of data, really? That is a lot of data. And then we go like, well, what's a terabyte? I know it's big, but what is it? But terabytes aren't big anymore. Everybody has terabytes on their things. And now they talk about zettabytes and quintillion bytes, and they're 2.3 trillion gigabytes, and these things are huge. And we work with personal health information at the state, and those databases are huge, and they are complicated. And so just the volume, the second V is volume. There's a lot of volume out there in terms of data, and you have to know how to handle that properly. The third V I'm going to talk about is the variety of data. So there's data of all different types. Again, back in the day, sorry to be an old guy, but back in the day we had structured data. We had a computer that, if we were lucky, we could sign up for an IBM personal computer with 2 floppy disks, and the maximum we could get in there was like 512K of data. And we would analyze that using Lotus 1-2-3. Well, the world's changed, and now with these zillion databases and databytes, we now have various types of data. We have data from your Fitbit. We have data from the cameras. We have data from Facebook. And there's just so many different types of structured and unstructured data today that you got to know how to handle it properly. So look at this is every minute of every day. There's 3,472 Pinterest, what do they call them, posts, images. There's over 4 million Google searches. There's 277,000 tweets. And of course, all of this is in the public domain, where you can go out there and look and see what people are Googling, see what people are tweeting. You can set, boundaries, fences around where these tweets come out, and you can analyze various parts of the work. So we were doing our smart city project in Saratoga. We could put a geofence around certain parts of the city, and we can see what those people are tweeting about. So that if we only care about what's happening in downtown Saratoga, we can look at all the tweets generated there and see what people are excited about down there, whether good or bad, and then we can make that a more positive experience for them. So data variety, unstructured, structured, various types, it's all coming in fast. And as a professional, how do you use it? How do you plan for it? And then there's the other part of this is the veracity of data. How good is the data that you have? They talk about 1 out of 3 business leaders don't trust the information they use for decisions, that, you know, they're unsure of the data that they're getting. And, you know, as a CEO myself, you know, all of my people say, well, you know, we need to have a data-driven answer. We can't just make it up. We just can't use our intuitive nature of it. And so, but how good is the data? I mean, I understand data-driven, but can I really trust the data that's there? Who's checking the data? And on the personal health information side, it's even more important. So if we fast forward to the future and you go into a hospital and they identify you and they check your records and they pull down your health records for your past, you know, 35 years, you kind of want to make sure that the veracity of that data is right, that they're working on the right person, that they really have the right data, that they really understand your history, and that, you know, the information they're getting is coming from your Fitbit, not somebody else's, and that they're accessing your patient portal and not somebody else's. So the veracity of data is another V that you have to be concerned with data. And the fifth V is one I added. The first V's are pretty standard. IBM pioneered those 4 or 5 years ago. But the fifth V is really about what I see happening is visualization. So I have some things here I'm going to have hand out. So I want to talk a little bit more about visualization, because visualization is going to be a lot about what we talk about with the startups that are coming up. So the startups are really looking at data from various sources and helping decision makers figure out what they can take from this data. And one of the example I'm handing out right now, I was in New York City 3 weeks ago, and I met with one of the people that are in charge of education and computer-based training in New York City. And he had a program that he was using. I guess I'm going to have to grab one of those. He talked over an hour about this one piece of paper. And what he had was he had an ethics-based, computer-based training that he had to roll out across the city to many different users and many different agencies. And the first time he launched it, if you look at that chart in the upper left-hand corner, he launched it in July. And how many users did he get? And he got 2,000 positive people that completed that test and said that they captured that knowledge that he wanted them to knowledge. And he went back and he started analyzing data. He's a big data guy. He likes to look at the data. So then he started looking at, why aren't they passing? Why aren't they taking this? And so he looked at the Monday through Friday pattern of how many people accessed it. And he decided that, you know, Mondays and Fridays are the time that people really try to take the test. So if I want to improve my coursework, I should send them an email reminder, or I should send it on a Monday and a Friday, because if I send it on a Wednesday, they're probably not going to use it anyway, because they're in the middle of the week, they're in the middle of what they're doing. So he changed his behaviors around what the data was going to tell him. And he put this graph together, and he was talking to his boss about why they should do it. He got okay on it. And then he looked at the time of the day that people were looking at it and accessing at it, and he found out that, yeah, the Mondays and Fridays at 3 o'clock, that's the best time. That's when most of the users are open to taking this type of an exam and, you know, paying attention to it and getting the right criteria so they can pass it. So he's doing a bit of behavioral analysis on the data that he got from his first deployment. And based on that data, he launched it again in September with some new plans on how he's going to get everyone to take the test and how he's going to get people to capture the knowledge. And as you can see on this, in September, he ran it right up through, December, and he had quite a bit of success. But he still didn't have as much success as he wanted. So he took it offline, brought it back, and he went over and he looked at the how section. So he found out that, you know, his success and how well his application ran, it was a multimedia application, was based upon the multitude of devices that were out there. Are people using a desktop? Are they using phones? Are they using tablets? And he got all that data, and he tracked it here. You can see that he has all those information, 95% desktop. And then he looked at the operating systems, and he found out that there was a multitude of operating systems running on all of these machines. And he analyzed that, and he found out that certain operating systems weren't working well with his application that he built, with his multimedia application. So he modified it and he changed it so it'd be more welcoming to everybody. And then he went further on. He said, well, what kind of browsers are they using? And you can see that he has all the data on the browsers. And he went through and said, what browsers can I get the biggest bang from? What do I want to take off first? So obviously he wanted Internet Explorer, he wanted Google Chrome, and then further down the line he wanted Safari, and then finally Firefox. And with that group, that's the 80-20 rule. And then he pushed forward and got the rest of them. So he's looking at that. And finally, he did have multimedia flash on there, and he found out that there were 34 versions of flash on all of the people that he was getting his, trying to send out this application to, and that his application didn't work on many of them. So he had to make his application, his training material, much more robust. And when he did that, then he was able to have much more of an adoption rate. And you can see after he did all that, he launched it again in January, and you can see that, you know, come March, he had great success, and he was up to, 5,000 people who passed the test. So I thought the whole process was pretty cool. The fact that he used all this data, behavioral data, he used, you know, machine data, and then who the people were. You can see the agencies that were there, the Office of Payroll Administration, you know, the Department of DCA, Department of Transportation, Department of Investigation, Department of Health and Mental Health, Department of Information Technology and Telecommunications. And he basically visualized all the data with regard to who passed it, who took it, and he provided a nice data. So I thought, and you know, I haven't really done justice to the work that he did, but he spoke to me, and we had a conversation around this for over an hour, and he just had this one piece of paper that encompassed his project, his journey to get adoption, all the problems that he had, all the challenges that he had, and then his net outcomes at the end. And I thought it was pretty cool, so I thought, anybody who loves data, put up their hand. Yeah, that's good. So we all love data. I thought that this was a cool thing for people who love data, so I brought that along. And really, it's about visualization, and I think that what we want to do, as we have our group that comes up here today, is these startups are going to talk to you about how they get the data from the systems and the data sources and how they create it so that executives can make decisions. What visualization techniques and tools do they use in their startups that people are buying to help them make their decisions?
Quick data point to share with you, Mike.
Sure.
16 slides left in 3 minutes.
Okay, little piece of data. So, did we start on time?
A little late, but that's okay.
Did you, you're in charge of start on time, aren't you?
What's that?
You were in charge of getting us started on time.
I thought that was you.
Okay.
I work for you, so
All right.
even if I am in charge of it, then...
All right, so we'll quickly go through. So the things I want to talk about is the jobs created by big data. 4.4 million worldwide, 1.9 million in the US. There's a large growth for all these types of data, systems analysts, programmers, but all about big data and all about how to handle big data. And then this is, you know, what do? You go to a cocktail party and you say, what do you do? And they say, I'm a fireman, I'm a policeman. Well, it's not that way anymore. They say, oh, I'm a data scientist, I'm a data architect, I'm a data visualizer. There's job descriptions out there for data visualizers. That's what we're going to talk a little bit about today. Data change agents, data engineers and operators, data stewards, and data virtualization and cloud specialists. So data is a field that if you want to grow in a profession, if you want to have opportunities, if you want to have new, you know, growth in your revenue and growth in your income, this is really, data is all about the future. So I'm not going to go through the top 20 industries that where you can find this information, but even this slide isn't that correct because it doesn't talk about health information. And I can tell you health information, we have someone here from Glens Falls Hospital. He's all about supply chain. That's another whole set of data that you have to take care of when you're dealing with personal health. So there's lots of opportunities. But so you need someone who's an expert in data. Who are you going to call? How do you know you're going to talk to somebody? What do you use? What criteria do you use to know do they sound like they know what they're talking about? You can ask them a few questions, but it's so broad and it's so deep. You just don't want a water bug that goes, you know, maybe you do want a water bug that just knows a little bit about everything, but maybe there's sometimes you really want to drive into somebody that knows HIPAA, privacy and security, or they know data modeling and they have to go deep. How do you know that? How do you know when you find that right person? So in a word, how, is there a one word that can say, hey, this person's an associate? Yeah, they know a little bit. They're a practitioner. Oh, they got experience. They can pass a test. They have knowledge. Oh, they're a master. This person's been around the block. They really know what they're talking about in multiple specific domains. They know data modeling. They know data enterprise architecture. They're a master. And then a fellow is someone like Pat Schaefer here, part of my co-founder, who has years of experience and broad breadth of experience, but also deep. So with one word, you have to have these kinds of certifications on your resume and certifications in your job searches. The solution is DAMA. That's why we created it. We created it so that we would have a professional organization that, here we go. Then our mission is to promote professionalism. We have our DAMA wheel up there that talks about the various aspects of our work, but it's provide educational opportunities for all of our members, promote research into data management, and really kind of be the go-to place where we get together and talk about data. We have networking events, and we also have other things. But what's in it for a DAMA member? Well, number one that they score on is I have credibility with my own organization. When I walk in there and say I'm a certified data management professional, you put that on your business card, you put that on your resume, it means something. It's a value. If you're dealing with customers, you're selling solutions, or you're talking to customers about what your plans are to collaborate, again, if you say that you have a certified data manager, it's very much like a PMP or CISSP in security. They know what you're talking about. And then there's part of us that just like to be and learn more about it and know that we know it by taking tests and proving to ourselves, have greater esteem. And then there's some of us that want to have an increase in salary. And these are a survey from other DAMA members, what they got once they became DAMA members. So I encourage you to become a DAMA member. So we're promoting professionalism around data management, and certification in by itself is not a goal, but we do have, a very large book. I don't have it. Did I bring it with me? Okay, this is our body of knowledge. It has different chapters in all of our different things. We have, other materials, reference materials around data management. And, all of this guide and all these other aspects, and it's an international organization. So you can talk to people from China, from Europe, from Canada, from South America. We're all interacting and all attacking the data management problem together. The other aspect of what we do is we help you get certified. So I mentioned the fact that we want to have accreditation. We have core exams and we have specialty exams, and depending upon your score that you get on the exam, and depending upon your years in the business, you can be an associate, or you can be a practitioner, or you can be a master, or you can be a fellow, depending upon how you do in these certifications and how you get connected. So DAMA is a startup. We're offering certifications locally here. So, we will proctor those exams. They are international certified exams. You have an international certificate, so it's not local to Capital District. This is something that works in London as well as it works in Beijing. And is that my last slide? Oh, I just took a snapshot off of our website. We have a website where we put up type of events. You can see I have today's events up there. We have, after Thanksgiving, we're at Startup Tech Valley. And then we have a Smart Data Conference on January 30th that's out in California. And again, you get discounts and things to those if you join the DAMA. So are we done now? Oh, you want to go through the plan? Why don't you go through the plan?
Okay. So half the plan's already happened, so this should be quick. Okay. December, we are pitching at Startup Tech Valley. In March, we're going to have our 12-month rollout calendar scheduled. Also, I should add on the last slide, our first monthly chapter meeting is going to be on December 14th. So that's coming up shortly. That's on our events calendar. And then in July of 2017, we are going to start proctoring our first local exams. And as always, we threw this in because we're going to use this slide at Startup Tech Valley, but we'll ask today, we're always looking for event hosts, presenters, and members at DAMA. Now, if you go onto our website, you'll see that a local chapter membership goes for a rate of $60, but we are offering free membership for the next year through the end of 2017 to anybody who's here today. So just register on the sheet out in the entryway if you're interested in that. And thank you. We'd like to turn it over to Evan.
So again, please come and join. Help make DAMA great. For the first time.